Okay, well, now we want to demonstrate how we can use branches. And the first command I want us to test is, so if you run git or git branch, you'll be able to see that we only have one branch, and that is the master branch. You could actually be able to see the same thing when you run git branch, and then list. We are seeing the same thing. So what I want us to do is, let's create a branch, a new branch, and probably it's a branch that you want to use locally in our machine to add a small feature. So instead of doing the same on the main branch, you can actually create a simple branch that you can use in your machine. And once you're comfortable with the way the feature works, you can then merge the changes back to the master branch. So probably let's assume that from our code we have some two text. We can add another text for adding, let's say, heading 2. So now in this case, what you can do, you can just say branch heading 2. So the name of the branch is basically heading 2. So if we do that, we'll have created a new branch called heading 2. So now if you run git branch, you see that now we have two branches, but the branch that we are working with currently is a master branch. So what you want to do is to check out, you want to move from the master branch to the heading 2 branch, and we use a git checkout. So you can say git checkout, and then heading 2. So if you run that, you can see that you switched to branch heading 2. Now if you run git branch again, you'll be able to see that we have two branches, but you see the one in green is the one that you're currently working with. So so the next thing we want to do is, let's assume that the feature we want to add is that we want to add some text, but that text is of type heading 2 in HTML. You can say this is heading 2, and assuming that our branch is, or I mean our feature is complete, we have tested and it's working the way we want. So what we can do in this case is, we can actually add, so that we stage the changes we want to make. So if we do git add, we want to add all the files which have been modified. So if you run that, you realize that now we have added, or we have staged the changes which we are about to commit. Now, just to be sure that that file is added, if you do git status, you'll see that modified, it's actually green. Otherwise, if it wasn't staged, then it could be red. So now we are sure that the changes have been staged. So the next thing we need to do is we do git commit, and let's add a message, and the message could be something like can say added heading 2 feature, something like that, and that's the commit message. Now, so we have actually committed, but you realize what you have committed is still in the heading 2 branch. So what we need to do is, Now we need to go back to the master branch, and then at that point you can be able to merge heading 2 branch. So what we can do is git checkout heading 2, sorry, master. We want to go back to the master branch, and if you run git branch, you'll be able to see that the 2 branches exist, and then we are using the master branch. So at this point, to merge the changes that you added in the feature in heading 2, what you need to do, you can just say git merge heading 2. But before you do that, when we moved to master, you saw this message, switched to branch master. Your branch is up to date with origin. So the best thing you're supposed to do is that before you merge, you can try to pull any changes which may have been added to the remote repository before you branched. But we are told the branch is actually up to date. So we'll go straight and say git merge heading 2, like that. So now the changes which were added in heading 2 are now available in the main branch, which is master. So at this point, you can actually be able now to push the changes to the remote repository. So you can just say git push our remote connection is origin, then the branch is master, like that. So now we are pushing the changes to the remote repository. And once that process is done, we can actually be able to open the contacts file in the remote repository and see if the changes have been done. I think it's done. So if you go to our remote repository, that is a test4 app, and try to open contacts.html, you can see that the content heading 2 all that feature is available there. Now, if you no longer need this branch, you can actually delete it. So what you need to do is just say git branch, that attribute or that option is supposed to delete. Then you can say and put here the name of the branch you want to delete, and there we are. So you are able to delete. So now you realize that this branch was not added to the remote repository. So no one is going to know that you are using a branch called heading 2. So if we go to a remote repository there, and we check on click here the branches, you can only see that there's only one branch. So in our next symbol video, we are going to see a scenario where you create a branch, and that branch needs to be available to the other developers so that they can maybe review or something like that.